Welcome to More For Me with yours truly, Kat Necole. What up, homie? What's going on? Welcome back to the studio. When you say back, that's a bit presumptuous. Let me not ignore those first-time listeners and viewers. Welcome if this is your first time. And if this is not your first time, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Me and my homies gather and we kick it. Chop it up, chop it up, chop it up just a wee bit and talk about life. What's going on? The highs, the lows, the struggles, the joys, the triumphs, the losses, all of that. Because I believe that every single thing that we face in life is an opportunity for us to become a better version of ourselves. And so we homie up and journey together towards the destination of more that God has for each and every one of us. Because in my discovery that God has more for me, it was a short amount of time before I realized, hey, he doesn't discriminate, that he has more for you too. Yes, you as well. So what are we getting into this week? Last week, I had a very, very rough week. This week was much better. But today's topic stems from the week prior, which again was very, very rough. Why do I say it's very rough? Well, the topic at hand came to me, life expectancy. Like, what are we about to talk about? Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, my first kid, the eldest, he's 14 years old. He is K9, not born of me, but he still was my first baby. My dog, 5. Yep, just like the number. You heard it, FIVE 5. He went to his annual doctor's exam. And this is the second year in a row. Health is gradually on the decline. Usually goes to the doctor, previously, I should say. He gets his checkups, all is well, like boom, boom, boom. Yep, it is what it is. Good job. How much you weigh? Let's keep it moving. Get your shots, your vaccinations, and blah, 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 blah. We just keep it going. Last year was the first curveball. And then this year, my husband, he captured it by saying that the report, because he took him to the vet, the report was a mixed bag. I'm like, what does that mean? So I had to be filled in terms of what's going on with my young, not so young, K9, like what's going on. And as I began to process the reality, right? Nobody lives forever. Nothing lasts forever, right? Except for the love of God. Yeah. But like, I know these things to be true, but then when you start internalizing and receiving that for yourself and or for someone so close to you, he has to die at some point, right? For sure. I used to, past tense, crack this joke. I'm like, how long is he going to live? His life seemed like an everlasting gobstopper. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, you know what's up with that. It's like, it's going to last forever. But each annual exam, I'm finding that that's not the case. So we already knew my man's sight wasn't so good and his hearing was a little bit questionable these days. But then to have it really put in your face, and it's like, well, he's blind in one eye and partially in another. And his hearing has severely deteriorated. Like, wow. And so mental health is important, right? I told you guys I was going to check out a therapist, and I did. You know what? Found one. Love her. The work we've been putting in is paying off, right? Because she taught you, girl. She taught me that, you know what? You really got to start sitting in your emotions. And I have. Practice makes progress, and I've been practicing. So last week, I practiced and I sat in what it was I was feeling. And I mean, overwhelmingly, I was very sad. There was just a heaviness. And quite honestly, for a couple of days, I cried a whole lot. I tried not to be very cryy with everyone else. So when I have my alone time, go run these quick errands, that type of stuff, your girl just crying. But in all of that, right, this heavy sadness, I was moved to pray. But not just any old prayer, right? I don't want to pray a selfish prayer, like let him live forever, because that's not natural and that's not what we expect. Like death is promised to all of us. So I get that part. But my prayer was that I would be a good steward of his life. Maybe there's some ways that I slack off, especially considering that he's my first. So back in the day, man, this guy had all of the privileges, all of the love and attention. He actually have human kids, and that reduces some. But I legit took a moment and I said, hey, God, you help us to be good stewards of his life, what he has left, so that we are attentive as his needs shift and what is required of us for him, that we are attentive to those things. So the fact that he'll have to go to the potty more, I already made an adjustment and say, hey, I don't think I should probably be taking him on all of my walks and walking him too long. So in the morning time, I walk him a little bit, really is a mile. So it was less than the 4 miles I had decided he needed to walk a day. So I'm like, let me give him a mile. Then he'll go lay down, rest. But making sure that you're in tune with his needs and just paying attention, enjoying the moments and spending more time with him, right? You make time for the family, but that's my family too. Making sure I make time for him. Now, literally just filling you in on how sad I was last week and why I got to that point. But as y'all know, I like to process. So as I'm processing and processing, it made me take a step back and say, like, I do want to share this with my homies, right? We're on this journey together. You're my company as I head towards the destination of more that God has for me. But the other part, I said, well, what's in this for all of us? Where's the opportunity? And I started thinking about, like, in general, just life expectancy. There are a couple ways that you can look at your life expectancy. How long do I have to live? The average life expectancy, is from what I heard the other day from one of my fave folk, Sean Stevenson. He was saying that we are hitting the first time that, like, our generation is not going to outlive the generation prior to it. Before that, it was the life expectancy was increasing, and now that's starting to reverse. And we won't go into the details of, like, why that is happening and how we're dying slowly instead of living longer, and enjoying the longer life. But really, just thinking about how long will I live? Instead of focusing on the time, I thought it would be more beneficial for us to take a gander and say, what will I do with the life that I have? So just like that prayer I prayed for my baby, my first kid, 5, Lord, let me be a good steward of his life. I pray that same thing for myself, but I pray that same thing for you as well. Not that I will be a good steward of your life, but that you would be a good steward of your life. So whether you have 10 days, 10 years, 10 times 10, 100 years left, like, no matter how much time you have left, what's your life expectancy? What will you do with the time that you have? How will you steward it? Now, mind you, I think, and I believe, better yet, I believe that stewardship is really you managing all of the resources that God has given you in a way that honors him. So how will you steward what you have left of life? Great question. Make the time to process and think through that, right? So my little homie Kaya, hey, we're just focusing on the next decision. Let's not look at all of life. That could be overwhelming. Shout out to my little homie Kaya. Miss you. But the next best decision. What's your next best decision? So the next decision you have to make, steward it well. When you look at yourself, all the facets of stewardship, faith, family, fitness, finances, and friendships, all 5 areas, holistic stewardship. What will you do next with your life? What decision will you make? Is that decision walking you towards the will of God, towards that destination of more, or is it taking you on a tangent and away from what God has called you to? Last side of that I want to highlight, right? Because it's how long do you expect to live and what can you do with it? But life expectancy. Let's look at what are you expecting out of life. So there's what can I do? But then what are you actually expecting out of life? Life expectancy. If you focus on something, you will see more of it. So if you focus on the good, you're going to see more good. If you focus on your gifts, then that's what you'll see being put to use in those opportunities. What are you focused on in life? What do you expect to get out of this life? When you wake up, let's go here, right? last week, very, very sad week. Literally, probably one of the saddest in my memories. Like not a day, but like the whole week was just heavy for me. And because I'm really sitting in my emotions, I had never really felt or experienced such heaviness before. But when it came to this week, did I have the same expectation? It's going to be another heavy week. The dog hadn't died yet, so still got to carry this. No. That wasn't the case. I had a different expectation. I believed that it was going to be a great week. I believed that I would hold on to the peace that God extends to me and I would just rest in his peace. I believed that I was being and going to be comforted by the Holy Spirit. And I believe that making the best of the time that I have with Five was more important than thinking about the time that I won't have. What are you expecting? I serve a God that's able to do absolutely anything. I believe that. Do you believe that? Are you aware that you have access to that level of belief and faith? I pray that you do, but I want to make sure that you engage and entertain the idea that God has more for you and that you should expect what it is that he has for you. It's not just something that God does for Kat Necole. It's not just something that God did for people in the Bible. That was way back then. Some of the songs that are currently on rotation on the playlist talks a lot about miracles and how God is still a miracle working God. And if you look around, open your eyes, be attentive to what he's doing, that there are miracles upon miracles upon miracles that are all around. But do you believe and expect that for your life? I hope that you make the time to sit with this because it's very important to make sure that we're stewarding well the resources that we have, including ourselves. But to also make sure that we're expecting something out of life. No matter what life hands to you, what you experience or what you face, you are presented with an opportunity to become a better version of yourself. So whether it's something hard, sad, fun, exciting, will you take a hold of that thing and look for the opportunity to become better, to become better? That's what we have this week, guys. I'm so glad that you can join me and that I can share my heart with you and that I can encourage you in what it is I believe that God has for each and every one of us. That is all for this week. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you again next week. Same mode, same time, same place as we approach this 100th episode. As a matter of fact, on tomorrow, based upon when we're recording this episode, on tomorrow, we celebrate 2 years of going in at this thing. And we are approaching the 100th episode, but 2 years of faithfully coming before you and kicking it with my homies. Hopefully encouraging you, sharing that there's hope and there's possibility no matter what your situation or your circumstance may be. But most importantly, I want you to remember, I need you to remember and tell somebody else, God has more for you and God has more for me. And now it's just up to us to get it. Let's get it. Take care.